Hey, Book with Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for some literary ramblings. So first, before I get started, um, I've decided I'm gonna post some links to, well, in light of the situation that we are dealing with right now, especially with the Black community and all the messed up, screwed up thing that they're having to deal with. It gets worse and worse. I feel like what's going on with, and so what I decided to do is I'm going to post links to black YouTubers that I really like watching and listening to. And I also have the link to the website that everyone's been posting where you can sign petitions and donate money and such. I will post that below in the Dropbox below when I update this. So I want people to know that, I know I haven't posted anything like that, but I've just made comments. I want people to know that, I do care and I'm not ignoring the situation. But, anyway, okay, so I just want to let you guys know that, but let's talk about some literary ramblings. Okay, so I am working through my way through Uprooted. This will be my second time reading this book. And I think I feel like reading books more than once is a really good thing, because then if it's been a long time since you read the book, then you might not remember off the top of your head things that happened. And if you read it again, I feel like it will come back to you if you really like the book and made a good impression on you and you enjoyed the book. Or even if it made a bad impression, but not in a bad way, just in a way that, it was a book that was about a really bad thing going on. So I'm remembering a lot of the stuff that I am from before. I also was just thinking about this just now, how the book, I thought it was I remember it being a lot longer when I got it from the library, but maybe that might be because it was a hardback. It was the hardback of the book. I borrowed it from the library. So that might be why that seemed longer, because it's really, like, the chapters are not that long. I mean, some of them are, but I found myself getting through it quickly. Like, I'm already on chapter 18. You can see this is where, this is how much I have left to go, if you can tell. And then I'm probably going to read up to, my goal this evening is to read up to chapter 24. And then that will mean I have this much left. Because that's where I commit the ultimate sin of dog-earing my pages. Just to, see if I want to mark where I want to read up to in a book. So that's my goal, to get up to page 24 tonight. And then I'm actually surprisingly off 3 days, although I would have been off 4 days. But today they'd asked me to come in. And really, though, today wasn't that bad, they wanted me to come in to do the sanitizing of the carts. So, that wasn't too bad. It's not, because it's just that you don't have to be on the ball all the time. You're just sitting there waiting for people to bring up your carts, and you don't have to make sure you're packing the right stuff together, or you don't have to, you don't feel the need to talk to people. I'll still say, hi, how are you? And, and respond to them if they ask me. But all I'm doing is wiping down the carts. And if we go to the bigger lobby, then I'm there's the scooters, the mechanical scooters for the people who can't walk, that you need to ride. And I usually, if I'm in that lobby, I sit on those. Now today I was not in that lobby, I was in the smaller one. But surprisingly, I'm feeling pretty good this morning. I'm not feeling like I'm not feeling like I'm gonna fall asleep any minute like the last couple days. And in fact, I was up around 6. I was awake, and my mind was running all over the place. In fact, I was actually thinking about the Charm, the new one. I was thinking about the show right now, and I started watching season 2 last night. I'm watching it on Netflix. It's really good. I really like this new Charmed. I had been one of those people who was hoping for a sequel series instead, where we learn about the next generation, the Wyatt and Chris and all of them. But we aren't getting that, and I don't know why. I mean, they're like, why they decide not to do that, and they just decided to do a new version of the original show, which is what this one is. And it's actually pretty good. I mean, like I said last time I talked about it, there are things that are more a little off-putting at first, but I've gotten used to them, and I really enjoy them. And I enjoy all the new changes, all the twists and turns that they're taking with it, the different approaches they're taking to certain storylines. Like, they have a character that is like Cole, except what they're doing with him, though, his father is a higher up demon, and then he has a brother. So it's kind of like a mixture of Cole's origin story, and the 3 Warlock brothers from season 2 that the girls meet, like, where there's 3 brothers. Only Parker has only one brother, but he's his dad and his brother, and they're trying to turn him, just like in the episode with the 3 brothers, the 3 Warlock brothers. And then they also, like, there's, like, and I really like their version of the sister's Whitelighter, Harry. I really like his character. In fact, as much as I love Leo's character, I kind of like Harry better. I kind of find him more interesting. And it does help that he has a sexy British accent. But I'm going to talk about more about that, because I want to do, I think I'm going to do like a spoilerly video talking about my love for this new my enjoyment of this new Charmed, and like talk about the differences and stuff like that. And there's actually a Miss Mojo, which is that series channel where they will say the top 10 of something, like the top 10 horror films or the top 10 TV episodes that made you cry or something. And then they did the top 10 differences between the 2 versions of Charmed. So I will do that later. But anyway, but if you don't know what this is about, it's about, in this village, there's a forest outside the village that is like I said, think, this is always what comes to mind, Mirkwood from the Lord of the Rings Hobbit series, which, by the way, I'm probably part of the minority of people who actually like the Hobbit films. I like, but I don't know if it was either yesterday or the day before, where Mara was talking about I was watching her video on the classics tag video, and one of the questions was your least favorite adaptations, and one of hers was The Hobbit, and everybody has a problem with the Hobbit movies. I personally love them, and I read the book, okay? I read the book, so it's not because I didn't read the book. I read it right before the movie came out, and I enjoyed the book. But I also enjoyed the movies. So I know apparently I'm the minority, but it makes me feel better that Terry also likes the movies too. And I think it's one of the few that she's read The Fellowship, and I think she read The Hobbit. So, like me, she also likes the Hobbit movies. But anyway. And the village is protected by this wizard who lives in a tower by himself, and they call him the Dragon. And he protects them from the forest. And the deal is that they have to give him one of the girls from the village every 10 years for him to live in his tower and kind of be his servant and his caretaker of the tower and stuff. So our main character is Azganishka, and she is average, scruffy looking, likes to run around and play and stuff, and she thinks when it's that time for the dragon to claim a girl, she thinks, oh, I'm not gonna be, she doesn't think she's going to taken, but she thinks her best friend Castian is gonna get taken because she's beautiful, she's charming, she's she's graceful and she's brave, and her mom has prepared her whole life to go live with the dragon, but for some reason, when he arrives, he doesn't, he senses, he realizes he needs to take Asganishka. That for some reason she's the one he needs to choose. So he trains her with, she sets her up, to be his servant, but he also brings out magic in her, or he releases the magic that has been dormant inside of her. And we also have where it turns out that the forest ends up taking Cassia into its dark depths, and so Asganishka and the dragon must save her, must get her out of there. But the question is she going to be alive or not? I really love this book. It is so good, and I also agree with Sam from Thoughts Sometimes that the whole forest idea is really cool and really creepy and interesting. I love the magic that she has, the wild, magic that's like musical in a way. And I also find it that was so funny that he gets so mad because he's used to order and control and balance and stuff, and things have to be a certain way, and he's a very obsessive compulsive, I think, when it comes to his magic, and he's very proud of his magic, and then here she comes along and her magic is erratic and musical and whimsical and just all over the place, and there's no order, it's just chaotic almost. And he just gets really mad about that. I find that very funny. Now, I know their relationship, a lot of people have a problem with the romantic relationship because he's kind of an ass to her. He calls her an idiot and incompetent. He yells at her a lot. But eventually she does start yelling back. And, when he realizes what the people of the village assumed that he was doing with the girls, it kind of hurts his feelings a little bit, and, but he acts out by getting mad, and then she's like, well, what do you expect? We don't know anything about you, you're mysterious and everything, you live in this tower alone, you asked to take a young girl with you, what do you think we're gonna think? Like, she kind of yells at him about it. And it does get him later to tell Cassia that he's sorry that she feels that she was afraid of him and thought he was gonna take her and hold her as a sex slave or something. But I know a lot of people have, like I said, people have problems with their relationship because he's mean to her and mean to Asganishka, and he doesn't respect her all the time. But I kind of like it. I like dysfunctional relationships. I find them really interesting to read. I love Scarlett O'Hara and Rhett Butler's relationship and how. And I also like Jane Eyre and Rochester. But I do get that they have problems and they're not relationship goals. You should not be in a relationship. But this is the fantasy world. Now in case of Jane Eyre, it's not a fantasy world. So you kind of hold it to different, I think you hold it to different standards. But it's also, to be fair, it's also historical. It's drama. So it's it's not okay how he treats her, and Rochester's gone lower on my list of favorite period drama male characters because he's kind of very obsessive and a bit possessive, and he chose to lie to Jane about having a crazy wife and locked up in the attic. But yeah, so I do have my issues with them. I'm not, and like I said, these are not relationship goals. These relationships are messed up and toxic, but just because it doesn't mean that you can't find them entertaining to read about. If you don't find them entertaining because they're messed up and they're toxic, then yeah, that's fine. That's your opinion. But for me personally, I always find those kind of relationships interesting to read about. And very entertaining, and it's kind of fascinating that a person would be in that kind of relationship, and I feel like a woman in that kind of relationship either is very vulnerable or she's a lot stronger than people give her credit for, and she's willing, and which I know a lot of people have a hard time seeing, especially if in certain situations. Now I don't go for relationships where it's clearly, well, I guess because you could argue that he's abusive towards her because he's calling her, but I think there are worse guys in the world than him. But, and besides, I'm not just reading it for the romance. I mean, like, I'm also reading it for the story and this girl discovering who she is, discovering her magic and fighting the forest. And, also, like, proving these people wrong about her and that they don't know her like they think they do. That they don't understand her like they think they do. And I also thought, like, her Cassia's, her story arc is very interesting. And I feel like she also grows as a female character too. She becomes stronger as the story progresses. But yeah, as I'm reading, I'm remembering a lot of stuff that I forgot. I'm remembering a lot of stuff that happened in this book. So, and I think I do. I mean, I didn't want to. I was hoping that I would not feel this way. I was hoping I would like Spinning Silver. And I still love Spinning Silver. I enjoy the book, but I gotta say, I lean a little bit more towards this book. Okay, and also, I've come a little bit back to David Copperfield, and I don't have much to say about it because I haven't read a lot. But, we've been introduced to Uriah Heep, who I know is going to be an antagonist for David Copperfield. And he's just, as of right now, he's just kind of like, whatever, eye roll, kind of character. But I'm sure he's going to get even worse as the story progresses and going to get even more, irritating. And as soon as you have a character that is like constantly, well, we're this way and we're this and we're this and this and that, a character that keeps saying that they're a certain way. Like in Oliver Twist, I remember I can't remember what his role was, but he's the guy who was at the kind of ran the orphanage where Oliver lived or something like that. And he kept saying, I do love people that are parochial or something. So as soon as the character starts like referring to themselves or saying they love a word, to me that at least in these two, but in Oliver Twist and this one, that makes me think, okay, this character is gonna not be. Plus, I already knew that those characters weren't gonna be likable anyway. This character Uriah Heep is not gonna be a likable character, and then that character in Oliver Twist, I already knew was not gonna be someone you're supposed to like. But David is going to school right now at this other school. His aunt took him in. His aunt, Miss Betsy, and she seems a lot nicer. Like when he talks about her in the beginning when he was born, she doesn't seem like a nice person. I was worried that she wouldn't take him in, but she actually likes him and takes him in. And she's very much that eccentric old lady that, has these weird quirks and habits, but she's not as bad as she seems. But there are a couple other young girls in his life. He's had a crush on 2 girls when he was a kid, not just Emily, but 2 other girls. The last chapter I read talks about Miss Larkin, and he's on the cusp of becoming a teenager, I guess. And he's like, and he likes her and everything, and she kind of flirts with him, but then he finds out that she's engaged to someone, that she's going to marry someone else. So I think she was just flirting with him to have some fun. She thought he was sweet and cute and stuff, I guess. I'm wondering if Agnes is going to become someone important in romantic life. And I wonder if even Agnes, and there's going to be a love triangle between David, Agnes, and Uriah Heep. Because, Uriah asked him what he thought about Agnes. So I'm wondering as he gets older, is it going to be one of these things where he starts to notice her in a different way? Like at first he sees her as just a friend, but then eventually starts to like her, see her as an attractive young woman. I mean, I could totally be off, but that's my prediction. So, like, I haven't read, because I wanted to take a break from it, because I was still debating if I was going to do my Myth Taker readathon. But I think I'll just wait till next year. I mean, I've read books that I couldn't count for it, but I'm just gonna wait until next year. It's such a fun readathon, and the idea behind it is really cool, but I have too many options of books that I want to read, so So I'm just gonna wait until next year when I think and keep an eye for it as it gets closer. So I know that it will start in the summer. It's a summer readathon. It's in June, so probably around May will be when I'll keep an eye out for it and make sure to pay attention for it. May, April time. But I want to read a lot of this book. I want to read a good chunk of it the next 3 days of this one, and of course I want to finish this one as well. I mean, I probably won't finish it, but I want to read a good. Maybe I could. I might. It depends on how much I read in the next 3 days of this book. But I also want to read this one too. And I might go ahead and I'm gonna give this book another shot. Because I didn't read far enough into it anyway to really, I was just like, it had been sitting there for a while, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to read it or not, so I looked up reviews on Goodreads. That's what I do. If I've had a book sitting there for a while on my shelf and I'm trying to, like, make a decision on books to donate, because, like, I don't have a lot of bookshelf space, and I'm not going to be getting another bookshelf anytime soon. So I will scan through my books and see if there's anyone that I could risk getting rid of. Or donate. I should stop saying get rid of. I should say donate. And at first, I decided on this one because I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure if I really wanted to read it because I wasn't excited. I wasn't thinking about reading it. So I looked at Goodreads and read the reviews, and it was mostly 3-point-something stars. And I actually read the reviews. I'm not one of those people who just looks at the ratings. I actually read the reviews. And people said it was okay. And they also said it reads like a YA novel. But, I mean, it makes sense that it reads like a YA novel because he wrote it for, I believe, his daughter. He wanted to write her a book that she could read when she was a kid. Because a lot of his books, when she was a kid, she probably could not have read them. And I also just realized that, if you see that little black right there, you can see it. That's one of those magnetic bookmarks. I totally forgot to take it out. So I'm very glad that I remembered that I decided to hesitate on donating this book because I forgot I left that bookmark. Could someone get a free Tyrion magnetic bookmark, which would be really sad if I lost it. So there's tape on it because I took the plastic off. This was originally, I think this was a book my dad bought from the library in Arundel County. And so I ended up taking so I took the plastic off it, and I kind of ripped it when I did. But anyway, and I have thought about the 5th season too, giving that one another shot, but I just don't know about that one because I know it's a cool world and everything, but she kind of N.K. Jemisin kind of throws you into that world, and then the second person writing style is a little off-putting. The problem is I just keep hearing about it from everybody, great it is. I'm like, oh, let me just give it another shot. But I don't know. It's just, I don't know if I can get past the second person writing style. Maybe I'll give it another shot. I don't know. It's in the donation corner of my room right now, but I might check it out. I just don't know. I'm not, eager to read it. But sometimes when I look at the books over there, I look at them and think, maybe I should give this another shot. I had decided a while back to let go of Sarah J. Maas's books and move on which that's what happened with series. If I don't get all the books, if at least a few of the books aren't out already, then I will forget about it if only one book. See, that's what happened with King of Scars. The second one hasn't come out yet. And then I thought Woven in Moonlight was going to be a standalone, and now the author decided to write a sequel. So a sequel is coming out for that one, and the Ruthless Gods is the sequel to I can't remember, Wicked Saints. So although that's already out, thankfully. So and then there's The Faithless Hawk is the sequel to the Merciful Crow. So, and I think that's only gonna have 2, thankfully. And I love series, but the problem is if I get into a book before the before the next book in the series comes out, then I might forget and not get the next book. But anyway, or move on or lose interest in the series. But anyway, so I don't know if I'll continue the 5th season or not, but I might. I don't know, though. I don't like feeling the pressure to read it just because everyone else is reading it and it's so good to everybody else. You know? I mean, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is probably good. It's just a little too stressful right now, you know? And then I might still read The Night Country, but I'm gonna, like I said, and David Copperfield will split up the fantasy a little bit as well if I continue reading more of that. And like I said, either way, it's okay if I don't finish it, but just to, like, get it out of the, you know, add something that's non-fantasy. And like I said, I still want to get at least a good chunk of it read. And then, I don't know when I'll continue Legends of the Dragon Realm, Fire Drake. Let's see, what else do I need to... and I'm debating about keeping going with this one. I mean, it's interesting, and I'm not entirely bored of it. You know, it's just, I don't know if I want to keep going with it. I mean, it doesn't help that even though it's a standalone, it's still kind of part of a series. Like, it's about a character from this one particular series that's like a secondary character, I think. I mean, it's interesting. And like I said, it reminds me of a Dan Brown novel a little bit with the premise. But I don't know if I'm going to keep going. I looked up the reviews on Goodreads, and it's kind of average, where, like, it's okay. It's not terrible, but in some say it's kind of boring and stuff like that. So I might DNF this one. I don't know. And then there's also, and then the other one so another book that I've decided to donate is one that I got last year for Christmas. And I feel really bad because it's one of the two. I'm getting rid of both of the books of my sister. I'm donating both the books that my sister got me. The problem is they weren't on my Amazon wish list. And they're from genres that I'm not, they're not my number one. Like, although historical fiction is a little closer to being a genre that I like, unlike mystery. I mean, it depends on the mystery itself. But, well, both of them are actually mystery. But one of them is by an author that I kind of got into, and I did tell my sister when I opened it, because, you know, at the time I was like, oh, Lee Saunders, I was not like, oh my god, it's the best gift ever, but I was still, like, enthusiastic about it when I saw it, and, you know, I don't want to be one of those people that is like, I didn't want this, I wanted this, you know? But it's a book by Ruth Ware, The Lying Game, and I feel like I should read it, but I'm not feeling it, and it's just going to be sitting there on my shelf. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it. And really, I almost would rather get Ruth Ware books from the library instead of buying them and having them to own, because then I'm going to eventually get rid of them anyway, because I feel like with most mysteries, once you know how things turn out, it's like, unless you just really love the genre and really enjoy it and don't mind rereading, even if you know what's going to happen, there's no point in keeping it, because if you know what's going to happen, what's the point in rereading it? But, I mean, you know, if you, like I said, if you really love the genre, then yeah, you might want to reread it, even if you know the mystery in the end. I mean, and there's some mysteries that I do want to keep, like a lot of all of Kate Morin's books are all mysteries, but they're not like a detective story, a police procedural or anything. They're like this woman piecing together events of the past. Now those kinds of mysteries, maybe, I mean, it depends. But, what was I gonna say? But yeah, and I feel really bad because she got them for me, and I almost want to, like, tell my mom, I want to try to tell her without being all bratty about it, that if she would stick to my Amazon, which she did for my birthday. I mean, she got she got the 2 DVDs off my wish list. So she stuck to it then. But I want to tell her to stick to my wish list, but without it coming off as bratty. Or if she gets a book from me from the library book sale, try to stick with like fantasy. Like that's the safest bet is the fantasy genre. Because that's pretty close to a guarantee I'll read it. I mean, not 100%, but there's a better chance of me reading that one, a fantasy book. But anyway, the other book that she got me that I've decided I'm going to donate is Death Comes to Pemberley, which is supposed to be a Pride and Prejudice retelling, although it's more like a sequel story where, and for some reason I was thinking that Wickham died. But no, it's not that case. That's not the case. And it does say in the book description, I believe, what happens, like who was potentially murdered or whatever. Because it's a murder mystery where someone gets murdered. Someone who's connected to Wickham. And there's like a duel or whatever. Well, the two of them are on their way to the Darcys, Elizabeth and Fitzwilliams, their little annual autumn ball. And even though the two of them are not invited, they decide to go anyway because that's what they do. And someone who is an enemy of Wickham shows up and corners them, and so on and so forth. But the problem is some people were saying it's just not very good because the characters are unrecognizable. And some people were saying that it basically takes what we already know about the characters and just it remains stagnant with them. They don't change, they don't grow as characters. They're like stay as they are presented or something like that. I mean, it's probably, if you're interested, go, and if you're uncertain about read some of the Goodreads reviews, don't, take my word for it. And maybe if you might like it. I mean, and I haven't read it, so I'm not the best source anyway. I just, I feel like I have to go through my books and make some decisions and, remove some books to be donated. Because I don't have a lot of space, and I'm always going to be buying books. But it's, but the people who critiqued it, I read Goodreads reviews, and then a booktuber that is a Jane Austen fan, and I trust their judgment, especially when it comes to books based off of classics or are classics, that I trust her, and that's Katie from Books and Things. And she wasn't a fan she thought it was a bad adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. I mean, although I guess it wasn't really an adaptation, but it was a bad book that was connected to the original Pride and Prejudice story. But I am going to give a shot. I did actually put the two books, or at least the other Bennett sister, on my Amazon wish list. And, she also said it was a good book. And I also like Longbourn. I remember I read Longbourn and I really enjoyed that. And I got that one from the library. Before all the craziness happened. Before the stupid corona showed up. Okay, so anyway, that is what's going on right now with me. Like I said, I will post links to some Black YouTubers I think you should check out. And I'll post a link to if you're interested and you want to donate or just at least sign one of the petitions for the protesters. And I, like everybody else, I hope things change that we learn. And I mean, it's going to take time and it won't happen overnight, but I agree, it does need to happen. We don't want we don't want all this we want this craziness to stop. We don't want these people to feel like they have to, yell and be like, look at me, I'm not different from you, But anyway, so that's what's going on in my reading. That's, and like I said, I want to read a good chunk of both of, my goal is to read a good chunk of this one, and hopefully get this one done in the next 3 days. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later. Alright,